I thought it was a good game. I didn't think it was a great game technically from the two sides. I think both can actually play better in their passing. But I can totally understand why, because of the pressure on both sides, really. And you say Liverpool, there was no real pressure on them because of the gap. There was. They could have really put a nail in the City coffin. But I think, you know, when you look at, I think City just edged it for me. And when you look at the fact that it was Klopp who had to make the change first, then I think that tells a story about how the game was going. Yep. And the fact that he's been playing a certain way in recent weeks with Mo Salah through the middle in a more central role and Firmino behind him, and you know, shoehorning Shaqiri into the team, and he changed that today. You know, he put Salah back in his regular position on the right and Firmino through the middle, and so that was the first kind of little flinch from him. And then with City's domination during the first half, it didn't really help Trent Alexander-Arnold down that right-hand side, because Salah wasn't getting back in, Wijnaldum couldn't get across, and they got a bit of a roasting at times down that side. And I thought City, for the most part, were pretty dominant. Of course, Liverpool changed it and threw a few things at them at the end, but I thought, for me, City just edged it.
It almost had a cup final feel, this game. The intensity of it all and the pressure you could just feel on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. To Craig's point, look, the pressure on both sets of players was quite, you know, to say it was intense was absolutely an understatement, because City had to win. It's very, very simple. They had to win. As you said, Dan, if they had got turned over today, it would have been 10 points. Yeah. And people can talk about, say, oh, the title race is over, isn't over. It was over if they'd have got beat. I think what was interesting and brave to a certain degree was the way that Guardiola set his side up. I was a little surprised at the back four. I didn't really think that Company would play. I didn't think he would be able to live with a front three. So that was an interesting... and as the game progressed, I thought the first half did belong to Manchester City. But as Craig says again, when Klopp changed just after 50-odd minutes, when he changed his system, they started to really play some good stuff. And Liverpool, you could see that Liverpool were coming back into this more familiar way of playing. And they started to dominate the game. And it was quite remarkable that the two giants of the Premier League playing at such a level. You know, whether you say it was a fantastic game to watch, it was a fascinating game to watch, because of all the intricacies of what's going on. You know, I'm shouting at the television, get Sterling off. A lot. I thought it was rubbish in the first half. Second half, he lit it up.
But I tell you what, you know, you mentioned it. Sorry, Company in. Talked about it yesterday. The left back position was a challenge, and Laporte going over there was a surprise. I don't think he's been playing great, but Kyle Walker being left out again was a big call for Danilo. Fernandinho was absolutely huge.
Incredible.
Again. You know,
what a player that
and
was.
when it comes to replace him, that's going to be tricky. And he's 33, by the way. That's going to be tricky. I thought actually David Silva had, and he's normally an 8 out of 10 every week. I thought he was the poorer of the players, and Bernardo Silva was absolutely terrific. So some big performances from some key players, and you have to say Guardiola got his personnel absolutely spot on.
It's a big job, isn't it now, for Klopp to try and manage that for the rest of the season, to try and keep expectations in check, not only within the locker room, but outside as well.
Absolutely, and I think whether Klopp's the right man to do that, I'm not too sure. I mean, being there in 2014, being at Anfield, and there was a real... It was almost a frenzy at times, and Liverpool fans are now so desperate to win the title that it'll either propel them all the way or it'll become a problem, because it's hard to describe how intense it is. It's almost like the Holy Grail for Liverpool now. They have to win the league title, and you know, they've only got 2 members of the squad who've won the Premier League, Daniel Sturridge and James Milner, so it's not a squad cram full of title winners. And I think, you know, the starting 11 for me is the strongest in the Premier League, but you look at the defence. If Robertson's injured, Moreno is not a good defender. If Van Dijk or Gomez get injured, you've got Lovren or Matip coming in. And at right back, you know, Alexander-Arnold for me is a good prospect. I still think he's a bit of a weak link, and if he's missing, then Nathaniel Clyne. So I think 1 to 11, great, but beyond that, they haven't got the depth that maybe City have got. So there are issues, and also the Champions League draw that Bayern Munich's going to be a tough game for them. City have got Schalke, so that could also have an effect. But, you know, Liverpool are the favourites. They're 4 points clear, and the Premier League isn't strong enough, I don't think, to stop them in the tracks. But there are things that could trip them up. I don't think they will. But I think Anfield is the biggest factor, the desperation.
Even though they lost tonight, I don't see Liverpool dropping too many points. I just don't. They're a well-oiled outfit. Even when they're not playing at the best, are still going to cause teams a lot of problems, and generally defensively very solid, particularly if they can get Gomez back and let's be fair, love Renault.
Yeah.
That will help. So I don't see Liverpool dropping many points. It might come down to injuries and suspensions to the squad, because I think City might have to go all the way through unbeaten,
right?
Potentially to get that title.
Do you agree, Paul? Who's your favourites at the moment?
Well, I agree with the betting. Look, 4 points clear. It doesn't matter who they're going to play. It doesn't. You know, you can look at the look at the fixtures and say, well, you know, maybe they'll drop points here or there. It doesn't matter, because the way that Klopp's got this club, you know, moving in the right direction, and the way I'd say a little bit more insight into what Company said tonight about that, playing with the gut tonight, playing with that passion. You know, they must have had a word in training or in the dressing room before they came out, because they knew what it meant tonight. And I feel that if they can carry that through every game, which is very, very difficult, I think they can obviously keep challenging. But Liverpool Klopp seems to get the balance right all the time. As Craig says, if Gomez comes back, they'll most definitely improve the defence. In the midfield area, he seems to be rotating for fun, and he never really gets it wrong. And going forward with the fantastic 13 million quid signing of Shaqiri, I mean, he's been a revelation for me. I thought it was a ridiculous signing, but he's fitted in perfectly. So I think with the balance what Liverpool have, and this passion to win it, coupled with the fans, yeah, they are favourites, but it's not going to be easy.
Palace at home and Leicester away for City. Those defeats, we didn't see those coming. Right, we just did not see those coming. Now, have Liverpool got 2 or 3 of those in them? I mean, when it gets to the stage of the season where you're fighting a team in the bottom 4 or 5, and that team could drop into the relegation zone, and you're away from home, and it's just an absolute fist fight, right? And everything else goes out the window. That's when we're going to find out, because at this moment in time, there's a leeway for certain teams, but when it gets to like half a dozen, 8, 9 games left in the season, and teams down the bottom, and I've been down there, are scrapping for their lives, you'll do anything. You'll do anything to try and get a point. And it's whether Liverpool can handle that if they're still top at that point.
It's a new year and a new January transfer window, and certain clubs have already splashed some cash. So Shaka Hissam is joining me in this edition of Transfer Rated to see possibly if any others could splash some more cash and if there'll be hits or misses. Ashley Young to Inter Milan.
This doesn't make an awful lot of sense to me, other than Ashley Young is going out of contract, so he's free, but wrong side of 30. I'm not sure that that's the direction that Inter Milan want to or need to be going in.
Callum Wilson, what a talent. Bournemouth would definitely love to hang on to him, but greener pastures could await him. Could they be at Chelsea, hit or miss?
Yeah, and as much as Chelsea need a striker desperately, I think that's more an immediate need. But then, do I see Wilson as the long-term striker for Chelsea, given their own ambitions, both domestically and in Europe? I'm going to lean no. I'm going to lean miss.
And a certain Maurizio Sarri says that he doesn't need a striker right now. Well, he knows better than we do.
All right.
Indeed. Gabbiadini, he's been put up on the market to Sevilla. Would that be a hit or a miss?
No, this one, again, doesn't make an awful lot of sense. Not going to understand Southampton looking for, or trying to feel out, find the market for Gabbiadini, but to Sevilla, who don't have any real issues scoring goals right now in La Liga. I'm not sure where he fits.
Another miss.
I'm going to put that as a miss again.
Isco, again, top talent to PSG. Would that be a hit or a miss?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll deal with these two simultaneously.
Oh,
because I think both of them are good fits at PSG. There is financial fair play for PSG to consider. Now, there's been all sorts of rumors and speculation about the futures of Neymar and Mbappe and whether PSG need to get rid of them, whether they will, given the interest and the prices that will be involved. So I'll put these two down as hits only if they find a solution to Neymar and Mbappe. Otherwise, I just think between these two players, it's going to cost too much. And I don't see how PSG are able to balance the books. Incredible talents, both. Kante, without question, for me, the best player in his position, been linked to PSG for quite some time. But PSG is such a complex machine with the money that they've spent and the players that they have at their books. It's difficult to really commit to one way or the other.
All right. Thanks so much to Shaka Hissab. We'll continue tracking these right here at ESPN FC.